behind. He has masked for the check of the world. Donned the cancelled and mine behind. He has masked for the check of the world. Donned the cancelled mine behind. He has masked for the check of the world. Donned the cancelled and mine behind. He has masked for the check of the world.
Hi there, welcome to episode 4 of Shawl Saturday, and a very belated Happy New Year to you. I'm Maddie Harvey, I'm a knitting teacher and knitwear designer. I'm based in Edinburgh. It's been really cold here this week. It's really frosty today. Lots of lovely frosty plants and walls and things on the walk down to school this morning. So my kids were actually late for school because we were just spending so much time looking at all the ice and the frost and everything, but it doesn't happen every day. So anyway, as I said, my name's Maddie. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter as Harvey Knits, and I have a website which is maddieharveydesigns.com. Now, usually in the beginning bit of the vlog, I'm sitting here doing a bit of knitting, just while I'm kind of gearing myself up to record. But today I don't. I've actually really hurt my shoulders, both of my shoulders and my arms. I think just over knitting, and I don't think I've got the best posture either. So I think it's a combination of these two things have really affected my my knitting, because it's just too painful at the moment. I can do a little bit, but not very much at all. So I'm going to show you something that I finished off over the Christmas holidays, but that's really the last big thing that I knitted. I had another piece of work for a magazine, and I had to get somebody to knit it for me, a sample knitter, who's done a fantastic job. But yeah, it's been quite hard not being able to knit. It's quite frustrating. So I'm hoping to get to see a physio quite soon and get it, well, at least started to be resolved. But yeah, I'm not really able to do very much knitting at all at the moment. But this is I wanted to show you something that I did manage to do over Christmas, which was a commission for Knit Now magazine using Rowan's lovely new Moordale yarn, which is a blend of 70% Blueface Leicester and 30% alpaca. So you can see, I don't know if you can see that, it's got kind of a little bit of a halo, but the stitch definition is lovely. You see the way that it's plied. It's got quite a definite ply. I think it's like got two strands that are plied together, and it's very soft. And it comes in, this colour is called Blue Moor, so it's quite a turquoise. It's probably coming up a bit more turquoisey on the screen there, but in real life it's not quite as bright as that, slightly more muted, and maybe slightly less blue. And it comes in, what's this, 12 shades? This is the shade card. So that's the Moordale there. So there's a really nice range of colours, and I think there's pattern support from Rowan, from Martin Story. There's collections of patterns designed in this jar. So it's really nice, and actually I got this, I think it must have been in October. So I got these skeins arrived in the post, and they have no label because it wasn't, I think because it hadn't been released yet, it only just was released at the beginning of January, so I got a real preview of it with no label on. So it was a real honour actually to be able to knit and design with this before it hit the shops. That was a real thrill. So it's a jumper that I've been working on, so I can't show you the whole thing, but I'll just show you the swatch, and you could be able to see some of the texture and how lovely it is in this yarn. So this is going to be in the April issue of Knit Now. So you'll need to look out for that at the beginning of the year. So today I wanted to share the kind of design process and the thought process behind my George Street shawl, which was a shawl I released at the end of 2017. So kind of like just sort of Christmas time. Last year we had a big knit along for it in my Ravelry group, and so if you go onto Ravelry and have a look at the pattern, you'll see actually there are quite a few projects for this one, so it's quite a nice one. You can see how it works in different colours. So again, it's a two colour shawl, which I've done quite a few of these using a variegated and a solid. And actually, yeah, this is the start here. So you have your solid, and then you have stripes of the variegated done in a moss stitch. And I think moss stitch is just really lovely with variegated yarn. The texture works well to kind of break up some of the colouring. So this navy is Dye Ninja yarn, and the multicoloured one is Countess Ablaze. So you get these stripes. The solid colour is done in stocking stitch, and the seed stitch one is done in the variegated yarn. So it goes along like that, just in the stripes, this sort of double stripes, and then it has some short rows. So I'm not sure if you can see that, how well you can see that. Can you see those eyelets there? The big eyelets. So that's where the short rows turn. So they're really simple short rows. There's no wrapping and turning. There's nothing complicated about it. You just stop and you turn and go back, and you're coming to resolve the short rows at the end of that section. You come back across and you make yarn over and make a feature of the turn, and it makes a lovely pattern. It's kind of hard to see here because I'm wearing this my dark jumper, so you can't really see the eyelets so much. But that really makes it quite a wide shawl, so it's not very deep. See, it's not very deep, but it's really wide, so it's more like a scarf, and you can wrap it around yourself quite a few times. The other sort of main feature of this is I wanted to design something that was striped, but where you didn't have to break the yarn, and so you didn't have any very many ends to weave in at the end. So this actually, you knit this whole shawl and you only have 4 ends to weave in, so 2 from each of the colours. And that's because, can you see here, this kind of lacy edging with the eyelets is knitted. You hold the 2 yarns together to knit this bit, and then you drop one, and you then you knit the rest of the row, and then on the way back you pick up the other one and you knit the edging with them held double. So it means that the 2 yarns are carried all along the edge without having to break the yarn. And then at the bottom edge, you do a bit of that again, but this time with only one of the yarns, but it gives it a nice edge all the way around that sort of pointed corner there. So it's really a long one, like you can wear it wrapped around several times. It's really cozy. And the reason it's called George Street is because it's named after George Street in the centre of Edinburgh, where they have a lot of Christmas lights, and the combination of this navy and the variegated really reminded me of, the sort of Christmas lights going up against the darkness. And because this Countess Ablaze yarn is so variegated, like it's one of these ones where you knit every stitch, and every stitch is a different colour. It's really gorgeous to knit with and quite motivating. You want to see what the next colour is. So that's why it's called George Street, because it reminded me of having the Christmas lights up. And actually, if you go over to Ravelry, you'll see that the photographs have been taken on George Street, just kind of like end of November, beginning of December, when they're putting the stuff up along there. So that's the original version there. So you need 1 skein of a solid colour, 4 ply, something like 350 meters, 400 meters per 100, and the same with the variegated. And you can also do it just and stop, you know, when you want to. If you think it's big enough or you run out of yarn, you could just cast off whenever you needed to. You just maybe need to watch out for the short row sections, because you need to finish the whole section. But you know, if you finished a section and you thought, I'm going to run out of yarn, you could just cast off and it would be a really good size still to wear. And this is another version that I made last year for the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. Excuse me. So this one was done in, this is Old Maiden Aunt. So the variegated, I think that one's called Jasper, and I can't remember the name of the orange, but it's absolutely gorgeous. And the Jasper's kind of got a bit of an orangeness to it, so they tie in really well. So you see that the Jasper here, it's not as variegated as the variegated in this one, the Cantus Ablaze, but it's still, you know, it still works. You could do this shawl with 2 solid colours if you wanted to. And actually the orange it's not a solid, it's just like a semi-solid. There's variegation in there. And I think I had a bit of extra yarn, so I think maybe, yeah, I did the edging on this one. I held the yarns double for the bottom, because I must have had extra. So it is a little bit adaptable. You can kind of, you know, add a bit on, or you could just finish it earlier, as I said. So I was looking through my bag of swatches, but actually I didn't have a huge number of swatches for this. This one got kind of designed on the needles more, and it was a lot of ripping back. This was knitted over a period of about a year, and it was ripped back an awful lot, and also had to go into kind of timeout in a bag. I needed to have a break from it so that I could have a think and mull over what was going to happen next in the design. So I don't have a lot of swatches, but I found this one, which is really scrappy, just to kind of like playing around with 2 colours. And I can see here I've just got a solid edge where I've held the yarns double rather than the kind of eyelet mesh of the actual design. And I also, I don't know if you can make that out, I've got some bobbles here with the yarn held double, where I think I've tried to resolve the short rows using a bobble, which actually is what I did in my Amma shawl. But yeah, so that was just playing around with some ideas. But yeah, I do remember this was quite a long time coming. It took me quite a long time to actually have it finished. The George Street shawl is going to be on discount for the next week. So from today, which is Saturday the 2nd of February, until the next Saturday, I think that will be the 9th, you can get 20% off George Street, and the code is GeorgeStreet_SS20. So that's SS for Shawl Saturday, and then 20 for 20% off. I'll put it down there as well, so that you can go over to Ravelry, and if you just put it into your cart and enter, it has a wee box for the code, you can enter that in and you'll get 20% off. And if you are knitting it, or you're knitting any of my other patterns, please come over to the Ravelry group and share them. We had a really nice conversation and a thread up there for the Patience Cowl knit along, which there were quite a lot of finished ones. And some people actually went on to knit a second one, which was lovely, which was really really flattering, because I think a lot of people just knit a pattern once, so for people to want to knit a second one was really great. So there's lots of them over there, And if you're knitting a drawstring or any other of my patterns, please come and share them, because everybody loves to see them. And you can also tag me on an Instagram or Twitter. That would be great. So as part of my Shawl Saturday vlog, I've decided for 2019 that I'm going to do a series of shawl designs, and they're going to be released quarterly, starting with one in March. And they're going to be a variety of different kinds of shawls. So the first one is going to be is a two-coloured shawl. And then the other ones will be, some will be single colours, some will be yarn held double. So I've got most of them plotted out, and as I say, the first one is going to come out in March, and you'll be able to buy the whole series. Obviously you won't be able to see the patterns, but I will, that will give you a significant discount if you sort of sign up to buy the whole series in one lot. But I'll also make the patterns, individual patterns, available as well. But obviously that will be work out a bit more expensive. So if you're interested in finding out more about that in the coming weeks, you can sign up to my newsletter, which you can do via my website, which I'll put here, but it's maddieharveydesigns.com. And if you sign up to the newsletter, you'll get all the information about the Shawl Saturday series when that's available, which is coming very soon. As I say, I'm not able to do an awful lot of knitting at the moment, so that first shawl is going off to my lovely sample knitter very soon. And actually I can give you a little sneaky peek of the yarn. This is yarn that I got when I went to Woolen in Dublin back in May, and this is from, they're called A Bear in Sheep's Clothing. So there's this one, which I think is called Spectral, which is gorgeous, and this solid, I think that one's called, actually I can't remember, I'll put it in, but it's really beautiful. It's quite hard to describe, sort of an olivey green, and actually that is coming up quite an accurate shade. So the first shawl of the Shawl Saturday series is going to be knitted in these. I'm probably going to use two of these and one solid, but there'll be a lot more details coming up very soon. So if you are at all interested in getting in on that, sign up for my newsletter on the website. So I think that's all for just now. Remember to pop over to Ravelry if you want to get the George Street shawl on special offer for this first week. And otherwise, happy knitting, and I will see you soon. Bye.